Roll call.
Benelli? Paduk? Amo?
Here.
Anagnestakis? Benton? Cheney? Fagione? Hines? Kulisek? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Riskevich? Sassy? Sierra? DeGanga? Sutherland? Tortel? Tui? Bureau? Brescia. 18 ayes, 3 absent. 18 present, 3 absent.
Okay, agenda item number 1.
Legislator Benton, resolution revising the proposed 2020 executive budget for Orange County pursuant to Section 358 of the county law and Section 4.07A of the Orange County Charter.
Okay, nobody signed up to speak either, right? Okay. Do we want to start on the, going through these changes one at a time?
Mr. Chairman,
Motion? Okay, yes.
yes, I'd like to make a motion to vote separately on the item appropriating $210,000 to the legislature.
Okay, if there are no objections, that'll be done. We're going to move that toward the last item of discussion, if that's okay. Okay. Now, what do we need to do? Are there any other motions besides that one? Yes. Mike?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the last Special Ways and Means Committee meeting, I made several proposals regarding the budget in ways that I thought we could reduce some of our overspending or overestimation of expenses, I would say. You all have that copy. I just gave you another copy of it. And what I've done, there was some mention at that time that we reached out to Debbie, our budget director, in that regard, and I've actually went over and sat with her and reviewed some of these proposals. So what I would suggest is that on the bottom of your paper, where you see 3010 Public Safety, 7510 the Historian, 3110 the Sheriff, and 3150 the Jail, it totals $85,000, which would give that department the ability to reduce it how they see fit by those amounts and reduce taxation at the same time. On the top, you'll see also sitting with the budget director. As you know, we have more than 200 funded but unfilled positions in this budget. I will tell you, I've been here a long time, and we had that number down to 120 when Mr. Diana was the county executive. And it was because the legislature always talked about funded but unfilled positions. So what I did is I discussed this with her, and I asked if she could look at the departments that had vacancy, unfunded positions, or funded but unfilled positions, but only the departments that had more than 2. So as you see, there's only one position title from these offices that we could eliminate that the county executive has already said he's not filling. He's already had the budget review with them for 2020. So all this is telling you is that there's $1.1 million that we could eliminate in 17 of those over 200 positions. If you look at the first one, 1165, the district attorney, I crossed him out because I know he's going to need those 4 positions, all of his positions that he's asked for. So by reducing or eliminating the district attorney, it brought it down to 1.1 million. And if you add the $85,000 for the 4 that were reviewed with the budget director, it would be total of 1.1. I'm going to say this wrong. I said it wrong 10 times so far today. $1.1,085,000 in reduction to taxation, which is a 0.14%. I know everybody had concerns that $350,000 was just a drop in the bucket. However, so I did some more review. As you know, I'm the kind of guy that wants to try. We all know that we need fund balance. I agree with that. However, as this year we returned over $6.4 million in fund balance, and my idea is for us to do a little better job. I mean, this is our number 1 priority, is to the taxpayers. By doing a little bit better job and reducing these funded but unfilled positions, we could save the taxpayers that much money. It isn't a big drop in the bucket. It's a small drop in the bucket. However, it is letting them know that we're not just okaying everything that the county executive approves. It's our job to review and make the changes that we see necessary, and this is what my proposal is. So I'm asking if we could reduce the funded but unfilled positions by 17 out of that 200 for a total of 1.1 million, and to reduce an austerity vacancy, austerity contractual in public safety, 25K, the historian, $5,000, the sheriff, $25,000, and the jail, $30,000. And just as a reminder, I did sit, as suggested by this legislature, with the budget director to determine if these could happen. And I've done what you've asked, so now I'm hoping that you can see the light with this and do a little bit better job for our taxpayers. That's my proposal. That's a motion, yes.
Okay, discussion? Yes.
If I can just ask a question of Mr. Paduk. On the sheet that you handed out in the middle of the page, there are references to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other departments. And I see underneath it, it says significant austerity in these budgets, leave alone. Is that not, are you not proposing that?
Yeah, I'm not proposing.
Okay, so we can cross that out of this.
That's what I did, right. You can
Okay,
cross that out.
thank you.
Caucus Leader Amo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Mike's point is well taken in terms of, I think he's only asking to reduce it by 8.5%. It's not a big number to worry about, but I didn't look at all of the positions, but I asked Mike if he could address some of them specifically. For example, the LPN and the nursing home. I mean, I think it's good management to keep enough open positions in the facility like that, given the fact that it's so difficult to get people, and when you do get them, you want to be able to put them to work. So I'm wondering if we don't help ourselves. It's just one position. I just saw that one, and like maybe you could address that one for me.
Also, I'll say about that one is that position is funded by Valley View. So it really wouldn't be reducing taxation. It would just be eliminating that position. I think they had 16 or 24 positions available that were funded in their budget. I'm reducing it by 1. That's what I'm asking to do. And it's out of their budget, so it isn't.
What did you speak to the people at Valley View about this in terms, is that going to be?
No, I did not. I did not speak with them.
I mean, I'm
I
just,
spoke with them during the statutory
understand.
committee meetings, but
Just trying
I
to get
didn't
a
speak
sense
to
of
them
the-
with this proposal.
there may be some other ones that other folks have a better understanding than I have, because I think we should ask the question, what will be the impact of doing that? I mean, I think the financial impact is good. You're making a good point. Is there any programmatic input we got to be concerned about here? And so one by one, I'd like to know that. And if you're telling me that the LPN position is not an issue, then I'll take your word for it if you've done the homework.
Well, what I'm not saying is that that's not the issue. What I did, and I'll remind you, that there's some departments had no funded but unfilled positions, so they're not even included here. Only the ones that had 2 or more. So they have the ability to fill positions that are needed, if so. So this proposal really, in my view, the county executive already said he's not filling them, so we can confirm that for him. That's what I'm looking to do.
Thank you.
Okay, Legislator O'Donnell, then Legislator Hines.
Thank you, Chairman. So we just got handed a sheet on the general fund balance. All right, so I just draw your attention to 2010, where we had 73 million. And I agree with you, Legislator Paduk, that we did have it down to 120 unfunded positions, and the current budget is 200. However, I think this should be done during the budget sessions with each department and make them justify their jobs. And I will look at it closely next year. But I'll also tell you, 2013, so we went from 73 million and change in 2010 down to 21 million and change. That's $52 million. So if the same thing happens in the next couple of years, we'll be down to $4 million. All right, we're supposed to keep it 7%. So I'll be voting no on this, but I will work with you next year during budget season to look at each department closely and see where we can work at the budget and make sure it doesn't affect our tax cap. Because there's other things that happen in the budget this year with upgrades that should normally go through P&C that they put through. So, thank you.
Thank you. And before Legislator Hines goes, that's why I asked Kelly to hand out this sheet, for that very same reason that, we have to be always cognizant of the fund balance. As you can see, in 2013 and 14, we dipped way below where we should have been. And that was, I remember 14 well, because that was the first year I came in as chairman, and we were in somewhat fiscal stress, and our bond rating dipped at least 2 notches. It might have been 3 notches. I think it was 2 with a negative outlook. And that's something we always have to be very careful of. Once you do what you want to do, Mike, it is somewhat of a good suggestion, it affects the fund balance. And look at the city of Newburgh, for example. I mean, their fund balance is terrible. And they're going to lay off essential services, police officers and firemen, because they let it get dangerously low. Port Jervis in the same situation. They've had double-digit increases, or close to it. I think there was 8%, 9% a couple of years ago, but double-digit increases because they don't watch their fund balance. So, our barometer, our North Star, as I say, is the tax cap. And the county exec presented us with a budget that's below the tax cap. And our changes in that budget are still below the tax cap. So I just want us to be cognizant of that. Legislator Hines, then Legislator Anagnostakis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few questions for Legislator Paduch. The first one is on the bottom of the page. I guess it's marked line 3010, public safety. You said contractual austerity. What do they use that $25,000 for now?
Well, if you know what contractual austerity means, it's the department head's ability to reduce spending on paper, on all those
No, that's
contractual.
austerity in general. Contracts are different. Austerity is a personnel line. Contractual austerity would be based on a contract that the sheriff has.
All the
in place now.
contractual items that are in your budget book are in that austerity line. There's books, there's pencil, there's paper, there's all kinds of things in it. And it's up to the department head to make that decision where he can reduce it. And if you remember, in that paperwork that you do have, the county executive already did some of it himself. So he recognized the importance of reducing some of their spending contractually. And I'll use the example again. $84,900 and something $1,000 were returned by the Office of the Aging. The county executive gave them a $50,000 austerity contractual to let her decide how to reduce her contractual expenses. That's one of the major ones that he did. And to me, that's our job too. Why aren't we looking at the same thing he looked at in that department? I gave you all the information of how much was returned. Yeah, and I will say that this year I was informed more about that line as well, because some of the money's returned includes grant funding and other items, but a lot of it is contractual. So it's up to the department head to decide how to reduce his budget by the amount I'm proposing, whether it's buying less pencils or buying less paper or whatever he decides. It's not up to us. I'm not trying to micromanage. I'm just trying to do a better job in budgeting. That's
All right, but without the page number, 3010, public safety, I don't know if that's the 911 center. I don't know if it's fire protection. What line is that?
what I would
It's
say.
like 7 budgets under emergency.
Right, that's right. And what I did, like I said, I sat with our budget director, and she said that could include all of the things under that line. So, he's got a big area to be able to reduce taxation by 25,000, whatever his is.
Well,
I'm not looking
I can't
to-
support that because I don't understand that particular area. When we go through the public safety budget for emergency services, we do it Deputy Commissioner and Commissioner Casey by piece. So we do fire, we do police, we do, the 911 center, and it goes all the way through the category. To just blanket say 25 grand without specifying which division that's coming from, I think is too arbitrary, and I can't follow the track. But I'll leave that alone for now. My next question is 3110, Sheriff, 25,000. What piece is that? That's going to be an austerity for personnel, or where is that
No,
coming?
that's if it's austerity for contractual. Again, sheriff has the ability to reduce his spending. The county executive, let me get my paper here. The county executive reduced him by $250,000 when he reviewed the budget, and I'm suggesting that we go another $25,000.
Right. Okay, so when we looked at this budget, we looked at it in its totality at the public safety meeting. And what we didn't cut the sheriff any further was because we made concessions with the district attorney. Actually, the district attorney made concessions with us. He originally asked for investigators and multiple staff for DAs. So we came to a compromise and said you can have 4 new ADAs, no new investigators. The reason he asked for investigators was for witness protection because of the criminal justice reform that we all know that's getting slapped on us on January 1. And the agreement is, rather than have DA investigators protect our witnesses because we feel they're going to be in danger now, we're going to have the Sheriff's Special Operations Group protect those very witnesses because we have to disclose the names of witnesses now. Everybody has to know that. Under the new program, witnesses' names, addresses, and everything are going to be disclosed. So we feel that the sheriff's office is going to take a hit for that protection component, and they probably need more money, not less. And for that reason, I can't support that either, because we're in a position now where the DA is in a crisis mode getting prepared. The sheriff's office is going to have to be there to support them, to protect the witnesses, and the probation, as you see, we've already moved money, additional monies into that fund. So in totality, when you look at the public safety budget, I can't support those changes. Thank you.
Debbie, could you just clarify a couple things?
So the amount for public safety, that would be Emergency Service Administration, it would be E911, it would be fire, civil defense. It could go over all of those 7 budgets. That's how I would leave that to them to decide where to find that 25,000. It wouldn't be for the sheriff, that's separate.
Yeah, right, I raised 2 points.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so we're just arbitrarily going to strike 25 from the various departments?
I would put it in and when you say contractual, anything.
I'm not asking for your vote. That was to
Yeah.
Mr. Padu, not you.
I would
Thank you.
put it throughout where I would let the department decide where they would want to put it.
Okay. Legislator, were you done, Kevin? I'm sorry. Okay. Legislator Nagustakis, then Caucus Leader Amo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I make a few points, I am very unclear as to what the exact numbers are in this proposal. So can you please tell me what's coming from where and going to where? And don't give me round 1.1. I want it to the dollar. Someone clarify to me what is going from where to where under this proposal?
When you say going from where to where, I'm not understanding what you're asking.
What's your proposal?
The proposal is to reduce 17 funded but unfilled positions in all the departments that are listed at top. There's 17 of them. 17 of them. It tells you the position title. It tells you the position title number, the bargaining unit, the benefit cost, the salary cost, and the position cost.
What's the total amount of it?
1.1 million for that, for those 17 positions.
Okay, do I see that on this paper?
Well, I hope you do. It's on my paper, on everybody's
Okay,
paper.
what is the $1,185,085 at the bottom?
That would include that proposal for reducing the funded but unfilled positions, plus the 4 positions, or the 4 departments at the bottom to have contractual austerity budgets either added to their line or supplemented by this additional amount.
So here's where I'm confused. Those 4 austerity are worth 85,000?
85,000,
And
right?
the 17 positions are worth
1.1 million.
1.1 million? Then why is the number at the bottom
I wrote it wrong. I told you I had a problem with that.
$1,185,085?
Yeah. It's $1,185,000. I wrote it wrong. I told you I'd done that 10 times today.
Well, so you also said it wrong. That's why I want to know exactly where
Okay,
we're moving.
I'm sorry.
From where to where.
Well, now you know.
And you want to do what with that
I
$1,185,000?
want to reduce taxation.
Okay. The 17 positions, you said you didn't talk to Valley View on that one position?
No, I did not,
You
no.
talked to any of the other departments that you
Well,
were?
let me just go back a minute. I talked to Valley View about it at statutory committee meetings. So I didn't talk to them again about it. This is my proposal. I heard what they had to say. I talked with Donna Strecker about it. I will say that.
Valley View in favor of eliminating that position?
Then who is? No department's in favor of eliminating any position. That's our job.
Can I ask a question of Debbie?
Sure.
I heard, or someone told me that you were, quote, in favor of all this. Can you explain explain to me what that means?
I didn't, so I was
Nobody said
asked
that.
to give an amount of the vacant positions, which would be one position per department. That's what I did. I specific,
Wait 1 second. You were asked to give what the dollar amount was for one vacant position in each of the...
in each department for the vacant positions, correct?
That had more than two.
You didn't make any judgment as to whether they should or should not be taken away?
I did not. My judgment was the ones at the bottom, the district attorney, E911, DSS, sheriff, probation, and jail. I explained that they had currently some significant austerities in their budget, and I didn't think it would be fair to put additional money, austerity in their budgets.
Okay. That's the 17 funded positions we were talking about. Now, what about the 4 austerity lines that equal 85,000? What is your position on that?
I said those 4 departments could probably, and again, I didn't speak to them, based on what they've returned in the past, could probably substantiate that additional amount. They are small amounts.
So if I heard you correctly, as a budget analyst, you're thinking that the 85,000, a budget analyst opinion would be that you think that that is achievable on those 4 departments?
Based on past history.
But as a budget analyst, you had no position on the 17 positions taken out.
I did not. And one of those, just so, and I told Mr. Paduk this, one of them, the 145 fund for the residential health care, that nursing position, that is not taxation either. So
Right.
when you say that, that's part of it, that is not
Okay,
taxation.
thank you very much. So let me close by saying, so I applaud the effort to make reductions. Anytime we can reduce taxation, whether it is, believe it or not, $10 or $10 million, anytime you can reduce taxation, you should, even though it might not amount to anything to the real taxpayers out there. However, based on what I just heard here, it's going to be hard for me to support this. I would support the 85,000 if it were broken out as a separate vote, if their amendment was made to do that, but I don't know that I could support 17 reductions, not having talked to the 17 departments that's occurring. But I applaud your effort in this.
And I will ask Debbie to say, let us know what the impact that this might have on next year's tax cap by doing this. And you know, it's always good to reduce taxation anywhere you can, but anybody, and Charlie Carnes is out there in the audience, Supervisor Crawford, anybody will tell you that you can reduce taxation at any time if you diminish services or cut services. So, go ahead, Deb.
So I also told Mr. Paduk today that if you were going to reduce those positions at the $1.1 million, I would not recommend that you reduce taxation. We have $19.9 million in surplus used in this budget. If you were going to do anything, I would say you should reduce that before you reduce taxation because of the tax cap issue and what you carry over.
Thank you. Caucus Leader Amo, and I'll come back to you, Mike.
No, I'm hearing comments, and I heard what Debbie said, and I guess I think there is grounds for looking at the 85, maybe pulling that out and look at it, that may be based on how she analyzed the budget. So I'm not totally against that. You know, when I look at the 17 positions, yeah, I have to look to some of my colleagues who tell me they have a similar concern that I have. When I look at residential health Valley View and I see it's the only clinical position we're trying to eliminate, that we're going to eliminate, I get a little nervous, and I'd rather pull that out and say, why do we want to take out clinical staff when we may need them? Now, if somebody looks at other numbers and say, well, no, this position is too important to eliminate, I'm not an expert in that. I'll listen to them. But, I mean, from my position, if certain ones were eliminated, I probably could support it. But I would also encourage Mr. Nagasaka's point, if we could separate them so it's 85 and 1.1 million. But that's...
Mike, you want to just comment further?
Yeah, I just want to remind you, the county executive already said we're not filling those positions. We're confirming that with him, for him. He's not filling them, we're eliminating some of them. That's our responsibility to the taxpayers. That's how I look at it. I've looked at it that way for the same 21 years, and I'm pretty proud that I'm trying to be responsible for what my job title is. I represent the 19,000 taxpayers in Orange County, and I want to do the best job I can for them. And the fact is that if we have fluff, as I called it with Deb before in the budget, let's work on it. I know we need fund balance. Do we need 6.4? Let's make it 5 million. That's what I'm aimed at, doing a little bit better job every year. You talked about the general fund balance. You didn't talk about it going from 215, though, Jim O'Donnell, to 42, 43, 50, 56. We're doing a pretty good job. I want to slow it down a little bit. That's all. I want to reduce taxation, slow down the increase to our fund balance, but keep it rising. That's what my suggestion is. So I heard that the $85,000 before was 0.0, whoa, I don't even know what that, it would probably be 5 zeros before. Is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. Do I want to break it out? Not really. I didn't have the support at 385,000. Why would I think I'd have the support at 85,000? So I did a little better job and added it 1.1 million in other ways that we could reduce the budget with it. That's my proposal.
Legislator O'Donnell.
Like I said, I'll work with you next year during the budget hearings, but also look at this sheet. In the last 4 years, 25 to 42 to 43 to 50 to 56, we're heading in the right direction.
I agree.
I want to make sure we keep going that right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we call the question on this now? Okay, roll call, and a yes vote is to, or an aye vote is to agree with Legislator, or Minority Leader Paduch's suggestion, or motion, rather. To approve the adjustments that he put forth.
Benelli? No. Paduk?
Yes.
Amo?
No.
Anagnestakis? No. Benton? No. Cheney? No. Fagione? No. Hines? No. Kulisek? Yes. Lujan?
Yes.
Menuda? No. O'Donnell? No. Riskevich? No. Sassy? No. Sierra? Stiganga? No. Sutherland? No. Bureau? No. Brescia?
No.
4 ayes, 15 noes. Motion fails.
Okay, now we're going to do the rest individually, starting with the district attorney, or I would assume so, right? Okay, let's go through, I'll entertain a motion to, yeah. Is that your suggestion, Chairman? Okay, well, one is separated, Lee. We can save that one for last. So the other changes we'll vote collectively, unless anybody wants to separate anything else. No. No, I want to do that last, okay? Hoping to get one more vote here in the next few minutes, but I'm trying to stall a little bit. Mike, do you have anything else to say on your yeah. I think we're okay anyway. So let's proceed. Okay, okay, moving the tourism, the money from celebrations, into our legislative budget, along with adding 105,000 into our budget under line item 579-500, correct? I'll entertain a motion for that. Oh, wait, we already have the motion to do it separately, so we're on it. Okay.
And I believe it's just the legislative 210,000, the 105 would have to happen to get it over there that we don't have to deal with. Is that correct, Council?
Just coming out of the health benefits line. Okay, so they're one motion, okay. Okay, discussion.
All right, so you're voting on deletion of the celebrations, 755001, because that would decrease celebrations. So if you want to keep it in celebrations, you're going to delete that line. that category, and then also the 1010-101001 legislature, the 210 from county taxation, county contribution. So those two are the vote to remove them off the list.
Is that correct, Debbie?
No.
It's moved out of celebrations into our budget.
But excuse me, my intent was to vote on the appropriateness of the 210,000. Approve that or not approve it.
So we need two separate motions on this? So how mechanically do
But
we?
wouldn't that put the 105 back in the, in celebrations?
No.
Okay.
So once again, I think I was correct. So basically, you're requesting to remove from this legislative changes the celebrations category with the minus 105 for celebrations, and then removing the 210 as a county contribution to the legislative budget.
It's going to be $210,000 in the legislative budget. And it's going to be zero for,
I think that's what Mr. Cheney is asking, that the 210 be removed.
Yes, that's the motion.
okay, but first we need to move it into the 105 from celebrations into the legislative budget. So let's get a motion on that first. Let's get a motion on moving the 105 from celebrations into our legislative budget first. Okay, is there a second? A discussion on that motion? Yes, Majority Leader Benelli.
All right, so the 105 is currently in celebrations. The first proposal is moving it into the legislature. So that action is taken.
We're going to vote on it.
You have to vote on
You're speaking to
that.
it right now.
Okay, so vote, if you want to move the money from celebrations into the legislative budget, you vote yes. If you do not want to move the money, then you vote no.
How,
And it stays in celebrations, the
Once we pass
105.
this, Katie, I will make it simple. Once we pass this, it'll be there. Then you can vote no on it, or you can vote not to even move it at all.
the way we did it at Ways and Means is we voted to move it, and then when it was there,
That's what's before you now. You have to move it.
yes, okay.
Ways and Means only asks that you move it, okay? They make that recommendation to this body. Now, you have to confirm that recommendation.
Okay.
That's what we're voting on, yes.
And that makes the the 210.
That's right. That's that's half of it.
So you do have to move it.
If you want the 210, then you move the 105 from celebrations.
So can we?
You don't
we
want
need
the
much discussion
210.
on it. Let's just do that unless you're opposed to moving it at all.
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
The question is, why don't we just do what Mr. Cheney proposed, to vote on the 210? If the 210 fails, the 105.
The 210 isn't there yet.
Yeah, but it stays in celebrations.
It stays in the celebrations, right?
Exactly.
Doesn't have to be changed.
Right.
The intent to move it into the legislative budget is that there are no county executive approval on it once it's in our
Barry's
budget.
original motion was to separate out the 210 and vote on everything else on that page. So why can't you do that first and then vote on the 210?
Now you're losing me.
Steve,
Yeah, go ahead.
I
All right.
think what we need to decide is, do we want to stick with the 105, or do we want to disallow all 210, or just the extra 105? We have to separate it
Okay,
between
okay.
105.
Perhaps maybe we should do it this way. Decide whether you want the total 210 in the legislative budget.
My motion was to vote on that 210.
There's your extra vote.
Okay, so then we need to proceed with this motion to move the 105 into the legislative budget, okay? There was a second on that. I forget who it was. Legislator Anagostakis?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. the budget director, if I can ask a question, when we eventually do this with the 105 coming out of celebrations, how much is in celebrations total? That's the total amount. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Excuse me, what was the answer? I thought the total in celebrations was 205 and that there was 100,000 in there on another line item.
That's a separate.
Right. Right.
I would ask that we just proceed with this motion because I think the votes are there for the 210 once it gets into our budget.
I think my motion was to move it 105 from celebration.
Okay. And who was the second on that? Okay. Okay. All right. Can we call the question on that, please, if it's okay? We're moving the 105 into the legislative budget from celebrations. That was your motion. We had a second on it. Right. Okay. Can we call the question on that? And
No, we're just doing celebrations right now.
yeah, we're moving the 105, Mike, and then we will, after, if that passes, we will vote on 210 in the legislative budget, yes or no, okay? All right, let's call the question. A yes vote is to move it into the legislative budget.
Benelli?
Yes.
Paduk? Amo?
Yes.
Anagnestakis? Benton? Cheney? Fagion? Hines? Kulisek? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Riskevich? Sassy? Sierra? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Bureau? Brescia.
Yes,
20 ayes, motion passes.
and now we have a motion to vote on the 210, correct? Or no? Does someone?
Correct.
We need a motion. Okay, Kevin Darian made the motion, and Michael Amo seconded the motion. Okay, you're right, okay, yours encompassed, of course, it was only 105 when you did that, right? Okay, all right. Discussion on the 210, yes, Legislator Benton.
Okay, so a yes vote to support Mr. Cheney means we're cutting the 210 completely out. So if we want to put the 105, we'd have to make an amendment to put it back, correct?
Clarify your motion, Legislator Cheney, please.
My motion was to vote on that line, up or down.
Yes.
So,
So a yes vote, Lee, is to
a yes-
vote, is
a
to
yes
agree
vote
with the 210.
would leave the 210 in.
Right, and a no vote is to not go with that. Okay, any further discussion? Can we get roll call on it? Yes is you're agreeing with the 210. No,
Yes,
no.
yeah, you're just voting on whether you want this adjustment or not. So yes is that you put the money into the budget. The 210 goes into the legislative budget.
Yes, a yes vote is agreeing with the 210.
Correct.
Barry's was just to vote on it
Just to vote on it
separately.
separately.
Right, okay. Okay, so any further discussion on the 210? Yes vote is to agree with the 210, a no vote is not to agree with the 210. Okay? All right, roll call.
Benelli?
No.
Paduk?
Yes.
Amo?
Yes.
Anagnestakis? Benton? Cheney? Fagion? Hines? Kulisek? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Riskevich? Sassy? Sierra? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Bureau? Brescia.
Yes.
12 ayes, 8 noes.
You want to change your vote, Peter? I'm glad we waited for you. What was the tally? What was the tally?
12 ayes, 8 noes.
Okay.
Just to,
I think something changed, but, all right. No
we can have a do-over, that's pretty.
Yeah, let's see.
We'll have a
It comes from that end of the county, the do-overs, right? No problem. Let's move on.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we? the yes votes get the extra municipal grant money? Okay, okay. We'll talk. We'll bring this back to rules probably in the new year to come up with the rules. Okay? We'll talk. Okay. All right. What, are we voting on everything now, the whole budget collectively with the changes? I believe? Yes.
The people who voted no, they don't get it?
That's Legislator Paduke's going to bring a resolution back at the next meeting to that effect.
I'll second that.
Same as the raises. Okay, for the next term, let's clarify that. Okay, so the budget as a whole, right? We're voting on the budget as a whole with the changes that were made today.
Just the adjustments.
Just the adjustments,
You're not voting on the budget today. You're just voting on these legislative adjustments to the budget.
right? The adjustments that were passed already. And we will vote on the budget at the December meeting, correct?
December.
After the county exec has 30 days to veto any of our changes. Okay? From this day forward?
No, he has December 1st.
December 1st, okay. A little less than a month then. Okay, we need a motion on it? Did we get it? On the changes as a whole?
Should have a motion.
Okay, Amo and Kathy this time. Okay, roll call.
Benelli?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Amo? Anagnestakis? Benton? Cheney? Fagione? Hines? Kulisek? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Riskevich? Sassy? Sierra? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Bureau? Brescia.
Yes.
20 ayes.
Okay, we're done?
And the desk is clear.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Opposed, carried.